What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Amelia Perez. Thank you guys so much for coming back. I appreciate the love. If this is your first time here, hey, drop a like, share, subscribe to my channel, and drop a little comment, right? Let me know how you feel about the video. Today, gonna get into something a little bit kind of serious, a little bit kind of deep. All right, so before I go into it, disclaimer, because I don't want nobody to get too crazy or too upset because it's a sensitive topic. And I've kind of held off on talking about it and making a comments about it, but I wanted to make sure some time passed, and then I want to make sure I do some research before I do this topic. So I wanted to first make some comments about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, right, and the case in itself. Now that it's over, now that he's been acquitted, it's kind of like, okay, I wanted to make a little video about it and, just do a little social commentary about it. Um, yeah. And, I know some people are not going to agree. That's cool. Just keep it chill in the comments. You know what I mean? Don't get too crazy. It's just my opinion, and it matters to no one but myself. And I'm only going to share it because, hey, it's my channel and I can share it, right? If you want to share your opinion, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, right? That's why we live in America, because we're able to disagree peacefully, right? And vocally, right, if need be. But, you know, no violent kind of thing, right? Which is ironic, right? Because that's kind of what obviously the situation in which this happened. So, what are my comments about it? So, surprisingly, I'm gonna say that my initial response was I knew he was gonna get off, right? Didn't we all? Um, and I'm not necessarily too upset at the fact that he got off, right? And I'm gonna just say this: I saw the video twice, not more than twice, and self defense is a funny thing, right? And I think that it's something that, and I say that because in some instances it's what we justify, and then in some instances we're just kind of like that was too far, right? The line, it's a thin line between self defense and taking it too far, right? And sometimes in self defense, people get hurt, people get killed. Not all the time, right? That's not the intent, but sometimes it happens. Um, and I'm just gonna say, that it is of my opinion that the issue with the Kyle Rittenhouse case to me wasn't so much that he was found innocent of the charges. I think that his his parents, mainly his mom, should have got charged for driving him over there and abating and aiding, you know, um, I guess maybe not abating, but aiding her son and like encouraging that behavior. Um, because I'm gonna say that I think he is just a product of his environment to a certain extent. Pretty sure if you look down his family line, you're gonna find, people who are really heavy gun users, people who are really into that kind of deal. Which I don't make a judgment to one way or another. I'm just saying that's the way he grew up. Feels comfortable with guns. Probably was given a gun when he was like 8 years old or something. Um, but I don't necessarily think like he's like this evil, crazy, kid that the media tries to portray. I think that he did stupid things, and I think that he was, like I said, aided by his mom to do those stupid things. And I think for those reasons, she should have got charged, right? I'm not a law expert, but I'm pretty sure she could have got charged with something. Driving somebody over, I think it's county lines, right? Driving a 17-year-old kid uh, over county lines to, join a protest and protect the city or whatever he said he was going to do. It's just going to start trouble. But like I said, yeah, my man was about to get hit with a skateboard. Um, so I don't know. I think that if I was gonna get hit by a skateboard and all I had was what I had, you know, that guy might have got shot because obviously shooting somebody who has that kind of firepower is usually used to that kind of firepower. right? So again, in my, I don't think I'm justifying his actions. I just think that in that, if you watch the video and you look at the situation and you think about it from um, the perspectives of the people that were there, that you know maybe you could kind of see, oh, why he shot one guy in the arm and then shot another guy, I think in the chest or something. Right, the guy that passed away. Um, Unfortunate situation, right? When you have protests and when you have a mob of people, I think a lot of crazy things happen when you have a mob of people who are uh, socially, you know, are upset, right? Who feel oppressed, who feel wronged, which is obviously the case that was happening at the time, right? People were in an uproar, and this is just kind of a byproduct of that environment, of that situation. So, what really pissed me off about the Kyle Rittenhouse case, like I said, was not the fact that he was found not guilty of, and it was not that it was found in self-defense. What really ticked me off was, you know, the humanity in which he was treated by not only law enforcement, but by the media. That is like the one thing that really showed, um, America's racist side. I mean, call it what it is. If you're gonna sit here and tell me that America's not racist and that doesn't have racist tendencies, you're full of it. Sorry, Little Wayne. I know you think racism doesn't exist because in your experience of life, you know, a white cop saved your life, and a black cop, I guess, disrespected you, looked down on you, whatever. Um, yeah, which good for you that you know you have good experiences in that arena. I think that's you're very lucky. Um, but you know, that's like, yeah, I can't sympathize with that. I don't know how you say that that's the reason why racism doesn't exist. You're ignoring a lot of things. Um, but yeah, like I said, that's what ticked me off about it is the fact that this kid was able to um, shoot two people and walk right by police and be walking around with an AR-15, threatening people or whatever, because you only do that to be menacing, right? And he's not bothered. He's not stopped. He's not questioned. He's not frisked. Nothing. He's just allowed to just walk up and down, right? Similar to, uh, was it the kid that shot at a theater, or the kid that uh bombed something? That they took this food to like McDonald's or Burger King or something, like made sure he was good while he was in handcuffs. Good thing he was in handcuffs, right? But they took this food to go eat. Like, it's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me that that happened, and people want to act like that's normal. No, if that guy was brown or black, or any minority for that matter, um, you would have definitely not gotten that treatment. You would have definitely got locked up that night, and definitely convicted in the trial by media. I'm gonna every That's my feeling. I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's my opinion, and that's what pissed me off about this case the most. The fact that the media, portrayed him as a confused kid who was scared. I know everybody saw the crying shit. I mean, come on, bro. Like, that is as bad as Channel 4 soap operas, at the daytime soaps. Like, that shit is pretty bad. If you think that daytime, look, I'm not trying to get people upset because people like all kinds of stuff, but I just think that daytime soaps are the corniest, most literally unbelievable plot lines, and like the actors are just terrible. It's terrible. Novelas, I will say, used to be better, but they're getting a little ridiculous too. But it's definitely, the drama is a lot more like real. Um, yeah, it's just crazy to me. English soap operas trip me out. But that's what his little crying scene was like. It was like, if you bought that, my guy, you are super gullible if you bought that shit. I mean, give the man's props for trying, right? I mean, hey, your life's on the line. You're gonna do what you're gonna do. I would have practiced a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, probably think of something that really makes you upset if you're gonna have to pull out the crying card because that was pretty bad. Now with that being said, obviously it worked. I don't know if that worked or the fact that, like I said, he you could argue that he was defending himself at that moment, regardless of all the other stuff, that happened and led up to that. At that moment in time, you could argue he was defending himself, and they did successfully, right? So I don't necessarily disagree with that piece, but yeah, my man didn't have a scratch on him. Treated like a human being, treated with dignity and respect, like he should be, right? But like everybody should, you know. And a couple of examples, right? So we're not over here talking in generalities. So Kenneth Walker, right? My man Kenneth Walker, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, right? Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. Um, he was charged with attempted murder that night, right, for shooting at the cops, even though they mistakenly served a warrant at her place, right? Um, they broke into his house, right, because he said he didn't hear them. Neighbors corroborated with him that they didn't make themselves known because they didn't hear it, which they would have. It was an apartment complex. They would have heard the police, right? I don't know if you've ever heard a police raid. I have. And you could hear it from like 2 blocks. It was from 2 blocks down that I heard it, and it was very clear. They announced themselves, Whittier PD, we're here for so and so, open the door. And they said it like 3 times, right? And I heard it 2 blocks over. So if they really did indeed announce themselves, I think that the neighbors would have heard, and people would have heard and would have been able to vouch for that. So that night, Kenneth Walker, though, is arrested, right? And then he has to go to trial. And yeah, he's cleared, he's acquitted. Of course he is, right? The evidence clearly shows that he did not and she did not hear them, right? And sure, you're gonna say that yeah, the police thought they were going to the right place. You're right, they did. But how crazy is that? I mean, and I don't know what the warrant. I will say, I don't know what the warrant that they were serving was for. And I know sometimes, if you're dealing with people that are armed and dangerous, you go in there and you're the cops. You're doing what you do, right? You're trying to get the bad guy. But to have shot, I mean, maybe that's why you should get alternative, methods, because he shot after they shot her, right? So there's a lot you can say, but even if you say, well, he shot, yeah, he shot once, and they shot 6 times at him and her, 6. Maybe that's why, right? And like I said, I respect. I have a lot of homies that are cops. I have a lot of friends that lay their lives down for us every single day, right? And I am very proud and very in support, right? So that's not what this is at all. But I'm just wondering, right? And we have a right to ask those questions, right? And wonder, man, is there a way that this could have been handled differently to where it didn't cause the life of Breonna Taylor, right? And it didn't cause this man, this innocent man, to have to shoot in defense, right? And then get arrested and charged with attempted murder. Um, that's crazy, you know? Um, so I realize that the cop had a right to defend himself. I do. But so did Kenneth in this situation, right? When you think that there's an intruder breaking down, you know, uh, your door. So it's one of those things because I know that I could never be a cop, right? Because you have to make those split decisions and split second life changing decisions, right? So, you know, power power to you, right? Exactly. And that's the point. And that's the interesting part of this. right? But again, I say that the whole point of me bringing up Kenneth Walker was more to highlight the differences in treatment, right? In the way that the media portrays young black male and the media portrays young white males. And if you say that that doesn't exist, or you try to say that that's not true, I really don't know what you're looking at. That it, at the very minimum is obvious, right? Um, I'm gonna bring up another example. Rest in peace to Tamir Rice, right? 12-year-old boy, and I get it, playing with the play gun. I saw the video, but 3 seconds is what I'm gonna say. 3 seconds it took for the cop to shoot him, and 3 seconds. One, two, three. I don't think that's a lot of time to. If you looked at the video, um, I don't think that was enough time to assess the situation and what was going on. I mean, to shoot this little boy the way you shot him. Um, and again, that case, interesting, because there was a lot of systematic failures in that case, right? There was information that the caller had given to the dispatcher that wasn't relayed to the police. Important information. The caller said it was probably a juvenile and that the gun was probably fake. And I believe that if those two things would have been communicated to the police officer, that they definitely, Tamir Rice would be here today for sure. And I think it's crazy that those things were not communicated. And I think it's even more crazy that no one has been held accountable for the breakdown in communication and the breakdown in processes. You are emergency services, right? What if this would have been a kid with a mental disability? Oh, that's happened too, by the way, right? I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, right? Who do you hold responsible for those breakdowns and for the lack of accountability and the lack of clear communication that could have saved his life, right? Um, but I think that is just crazy. I'm sorry, it was, yeah, 3 seconds. And the cop says that he said, put your hands up. He said he did, he said it 3 times. I don't know. Put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. I mean, that's longer than 3 seconds. And if you're yelling it like a maniac, don't you think you would have scared the kid? And I get it. Like I said, playing with toy guns, that's why I don't fuck with toy guns. My mom was not into letting us have toy guns because of that reason, believe it or not. More so because of gangsters than cops. I will say that. But either way, it was the idea of being mistaken and being having something in your hand that would make you look more dangerous than it would make someone else look if they had it in their hand. And it's crazy that as a young kid, that's something that I was already, getting groomed to understand and getting groomed to be able to deal with, was the fact that I was threatening in some situations, even when other kids were not. And that is the difference, right? We all know it. We all know that the media has always, I mean, this goes back to generations, right? Goes back to, blackface, goes back to whatever you call those those uh those racist cartoons, right? That depicted, the big black wolf, chasing the pretty young white lady. Like, if you don't think that that stuff starts seeping into people's subconscious when you put it in movies, when you put it in songs, when you put it in magazines, you're crazy. Of course it does. That's why we have a violent society in America, because we let our kids, and we've been through generations, right, since we were little, right, since we were 10, and it's been 3 generations, right? We're in our mid 30s now. So I'm speaking for me and my generation and my upbringing. We got more and more violent. We started letting the video games become more violent. We started letting the ratings get relaxed in the movies as well. So what happens? Your society becomes more violent, and they just come less. They become more numb to it. And I believe that that's what has happened throughout the generations when it comes to vilifying and demonizing black boys. I mean, that's just what it is. And you could say the same thing about devaluing and sexualizing young black girls, you know? And even if you say, oh, um, that's something that's been portrayed in black cinema as well, you could argue that, but you could also argue that that is because they are teaching their history and they're trying to teach it in a way that is more accurate than what you would see when the white media does it, you know? So, like I said, that's my comment to the Rittenhouse case. Like I said, I just think that it's crazy how being young, being black, male, um, you're seen as much more dangerous than a young white male, and how the justice system is and everything that's set up around it has already put you in a position where you are the aggressor, and when you are the a dangerous one, and when you are the one that has to be um, looked out for. And I have to tell you that I've had plenty of instances where I have lived those experiences. Right? I look like a young black male, so I've had those experiences, and I can specifically remember, you know, one where I was probably about 15, maybe 16. I think I was a junior in high school, and I had a job at a trophy shop. Shout out to my sister-in-law Liz, who got me the job at the trophy shop right there down Tweedy Boulevard, over there where the El Tacazo used to be, over there by the McDonald's. I used to go to the optometrist there. But yeah, I remember very clearly that it was morning time. It was probably like 7:30 in the morning, maybe 7:45, and I had to open. So I stopped at the donut shop with my fat ass, and I noticed a police car just kind of like, when they're kind of like gliding a little bit, cruising, looking around at, at people and looking around at things. And I saw them peep me out. And um, I was like, okay, they're going to follow me, right? As I got my donut and my coffee and I started walking across the street to the trophy shop. So sure enough, I go to the back, towards the back, because I had to open it towards the back gate, which, yeah, it looks suspicious because you're going down the alley. And then I had to put my arm inside the gate um, to open it. But I mean, that's just the way the lock's on the inside. So I had to, like, you know, and as soon as I walk towards the gate to unlock it, which I have the key for, I hear the sirens. And I turn around, I go over there, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, do you work here? And I was like, yeah. And as soon as they realized I was a girl, they were just kind of like taken aback, and they were like, "Oh, okay." And then they asked me for my ID, and I gave it to them. I think I gave them my high school ID or something, and they were like, "Oh," they were like, "You're Hispanic," and I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Oh, do you speak Spanish?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Okay, okay, well, we were just from the back, you kind of look like like a thug." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, what? Did they just say that? And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, your shorts are sagging, and you have a big shirt, so we thought we'd come over here and check it out and see what you were up to. But now that we see that, you're all right, we're gonna go ahead and and I was like, okay. And then luckily the owner, who was also gonna meet me there at the time, she was like, is there a problem, officer? And they were like, "Oh, we just wanted to make sure everything's all right." And she was like, "No, she works here. Like everything's all right." She was opening, and they were like, "Oh, okay," and they left. And that was a crazy experience, and that was one of many. I could tell you guys more stories about those situations, but I'd rather not, because I just want to say that luckily for me, they haven't been too terrible. Knock on wood. Well, I'm not gonna say I've never been put in handcuffs one time, but I deserved it because I was acting out. And I'll talk to you guys about that later. That was definitely not a race thing. That was me being a dumb, drunk thing, in Vegas in your 20s. But um, I was only in handcuffs for like 2 minutes. He was just trying to calm me down. All right. Never been to jail, never been roughed up, you know. And so I'm not gonna sit here and make those stories. I'm just gonna say I have experienced that, you know, that tension. I've experienced that racial profiling, and I've experienced that jumping to conclusions until they realize that you're not who they think you are. And that's lucky for me that I'm not who they think I am, you know, which is a young black male or a young Hispanic male for that matter. um, because it's to me it's the same when you're black and brown. You pretty much get treated the same. Maybe a little bit more degrees different. You know, there's a certain degree, of course, but in certain situations, it's just about you being at the wrong place at the wrong time and being the wrong skin tone. You know, because black and brown, we're not that different. Um, but yeah, that's my commentary on the Rittenhouse case. Like I said, don't shoot me. All right, it's just my opinion, which matters to no one. I just felt like sharing it. So please, like I said, share this video, comment, please. Let me know what you think. Let me know your comments, your thoughts. What do you think about the case? What do you think about what I said? Do you agree that America has a problem and the justice system has an issue, and sees young black males as aggressive and as, um, you know, criminals and heathens versus young white males, where they see them as confused kids who are lost, you know, kids who need their parents, who need guidance, um, that kind of deal. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Either way, we could be homies as long as you bring it respectfully, because that's why we live in America. So thank you so much. Share my video. I appreciate the love, you guys. Thank you so much for coming back. I'll see you next time. Shout out, you know, I had to bring out the 90s version of Ninja Turtles, okay? Because the 2000 is just some whack shit. All right. Peace out, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to keep up with these podcasts, but those of you who know, I work at UPS. It's a little crazy right now. We're in Cyber Week. So, you know, I'll get to it when I get to it. But I appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.